Welcome back to Journals Beyond Horizons. Today's story comes from a man who decided to go to the Philippines for the first time to spend his birthday. He wanted something new, after being tired of celebrating his birthday with the same people. What was supposed to take just a few days turned into months and eventually into loss of money and regrets. This isn't just another travel story, it's a brutal experience of what can happen to you when you fail to read the environment and know the right time to leave. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Let's get into it. Sharing this story was a hard decision, but I've went back and forth about it and decided that it might help someone understanding dating life better in the Philippines. I know you'll probably call me a lot of names. A two-week millionaire, stupid, careless, or just another clueless foreigner with too much cash to burn and a lot of steam to get off his chest. And honestly, you'd be right on some level. But until you've walked in my shoes, you can't understand how easy it is to get swept away in a place like the Philippines. It started with a thought I had one night while lying on the couch. I was like, I want to celebrate my next birthday in a different way. Different from how I've been spending it mostly with my friends and later on with my now ex-wife. And right that moment, I said this time, I want to do it in another country. That's how coming to the Philippines came into picture. Well, I haven't been to the Philippines before, but I had heard the stories. The nightlife in Manila, the smiles in Cebu, the wild bar scenes in Angeles City. Men from all over the world had called this country a paradise. Cheap beer, sunny beaches, and women who looked at you like you were the center of the universe. I told myself I wasn't going to be like those guys. I was just here for 2 weeks, a holiday, a bit of sun, some relaxation, and maybe a fling or two. Nothing serious, but let me tell you, the Philippines has a way of disarming even the most skeptical foreigner. I landed in Manila, exhausted from the long flight around 15 hours, but the moment I stepped outside the airport, I felt the chaos. Jeepneys honking, kids selling cigarettes and bottled water, taxi drivers shouting, Sir! Sir, where you go? It was overwhelming but oddly energizing. I just got a cigarette and went to my hotel in Makati. I dropped my bags and told myself I'd just get some rest. But within few hours, I was out on the streets, soaking it all in. And that's when it began. The stares, the smiles, the attention I had never experienced back home. Young women looking at me like I wasn't invisible. Old men nodding at me knowingly like they had seen this story play out 1,000 times. I walked into a small bar near Burgos Street. Not one of the flashy ones, just a dim, neon-lit hole in the wall with karaoke blaring kind of thing. And that's where I met my nightmare. Or at least that's where my 2 week adventure started turning into something I never could have imagined. She was sitting in the corner when I walked in, sipping on what looked like an orange juice, but I later found out was a watered-down cocktail. Slim, long black hair with that shy Filipina smile that could disarm even the coldest man. The kind of smile that makes you feel like she's never smiled that way at anyone else. Even though, in hindsight, I know she probably had 1,000 times before. The mama-san came over and asked me what I wanted to drink. I ordered a San Miguel Pale Pilsen. Cheap, ice cold, perfect. Within minutes, the girl was sitting beside me laughing at my broken attempts at Tagalog, her hand on my arm like we were already old friends. She told me her name was Maria, just 22 years old, from a province I had never heard of, sent to Manila to help her family. A familiar scenario in the Philippines, one I would later realize is told in 100 different variations, but always with the same underlying theme: family responsibility. That first night, I felt like a king. We sang karaoke together, she clapped and cheered like I was a rock star, and when it was time to leave, she didn't let go of my hand. Outside, under the fluorescent glow of a 7-Eleven sign, she looked at me with those big brown eyes and asked softly, Can I come with you? Back home, women like her wouldn't have given me the time of day. But here I was desirable, wanted, even adored. And I'll admit the attention was intoxicating. From that night on, I slipped effortlessly into what I call the 2 week millionaire lifestyle. I wasn't rich back home, Not even close, but in the Philippines, my money stretched further than I ever imagined. Fancy dinners in Makati, where the bill came to less than what I'd spend on a single round of drinks in London. Weekend flights to Cebu for beach getaways just because I felt like it. And of course, Maria by my side, her head resting on my shoulder as if we had been together for years. But it wasn't just Maria. The Philippines doesn't let you settle too quickly. There's always another smile, another girl waving from across the bar, another story of hardship that tugs at your sense of duty. Within a week, I had not one, but two girlfriends, one in Manila and another in Cebu. A bubbly girl named Grace who swore she wasn't like the others. I told myself I was just enjoying my vacation, just living the dream. But what I didn't realize was that every smile, every hug, every whispered, "I love you, baby," came with invisible strings attached. Strings that would soon tangle around my neck and pull tighter than I ever expected. The first week passed like a blur. Manila days were filled with trips to malls, little shopping sprees where Maria would grab my hand and pull me toward stores, whispering, "Just this one, baby, for me." I didn't think much of it. A new dress here, a bag there. It was nothing compared to what I was spending back home on bills and rent. Then came Cebu. Grace was different. While Maria was shy, soft-spoken, and provincial, Grace was fiery, funny, and always ready to dance. The kind of girl who made every room light up when she walked in. I met her on my second weekend, during a quick trip to see the famous beaches. She wasn't a bar girl or so she said, and she worked at a small cafe near the hotel I stayed. She leaned into me from the start, saying things like, "You're not like other foreigners. You look serious," and of course I believed her. Who doesn't want to feel like the exception, right? By the end of week 2, I was juggling the two of them. Maria in Manila, Grace in Cebu. Both calling me baby, both saying they missed me when I wasn't around. Both slowly turning what was supposed to be a carefree vacation into something heavier. And then came Angeles City. If Manila was overwhelming and Cebu was charming, Angeles was pure chaos. Neon lights, music blasting from every bar, girls lined up outside in short skirts and high heels, waving and calling out to every passing foreigner. I told myself I wasn't going to dive into that world, but curiosity got the better of me. That's where I met Joy. And with Joy, everything shifted. Unlike Maria and Grace, Joy didn't bother with shy smiles or long conversations. She was direct. She sat down, ordered a drink on my tab without asking, and looked me dead in the eye. "You have money, right? Don't waste my time if you don't." It should have been a red flag. It should have been the moment I stood up and walked away. But something about her honesty hooked me. There was no pretense, no sweet story about family in the province. Just raw, unapologetic survival. I got some fanny and she gets some money. The days turned into nights, the nights into mornings, and suddenly I realized that my vacation budget, the one I had carefully saved for 6 months back home, was disappearing faster than I could keep track. It wasn't just the girls, though. It was the lifestyle. Dinners, drinks, motorbike rentals, hotel upgrades, gifts, bar fines, flights between islands. Everything added up. I felt like a 2-week millionaire, but the truth was, I was bleeding money. And the more I spent, the harder it became to say no. Because every peso wasn't just money. It was buying me affection, companionship, and the illusion of being someone important in a country where I was just another face in the crowd. And I wasn't ready to go home. By the middle of week 3, I wasn't just hooked. I was tangled. By now, I wasn't just spending money. I was investing emotions. Maria, the shy one from Manila, started calling me every night when I was away. Her soft voice on the other end of the line always began the same. "Baby, I miss you. When you come back." At first it was sweet, but soon her words carried a heavier undertone. She'd tell me about her mother in the province who had fallen ill, how the hospital bills were stacking up, and how she didn't know what to do. "Only you can help me, baby." You're the only one I trust. It tugged at me. How could I say no? Back home, I was just another guy trying to make ends meet, but here I was a savior. With a quick transfer through Western Union, I could erase her problems, at least for a while. And so I did. Grace, the bubbly one from Cebu, had a different story. Her younger brother couldn't afford his school fees. He was on the verge of being kicked out. She begged me not to let it happen. Education is the key, baby. Please help me. He's so smart. He deserves a chance another transfer. Another problem solved, and then Joy, the unapologetic survivor from Angeles City, played no games. She flat out told me she needed help with her rent and threatened to go back to another foreigner if I couldn't provide. She wasn't asking. She was demanding. And oddly enough, I respected her honesty, twisted as it was. By now, my days were a cycle. Wake up in one city, get messages from the others, shuffle excuses, and send money where needed. I was living 3 lives at once, and all 3 were draining me dry. The cracks started to show when my budget, which I thought would last comfortably for 2 months, was gone in less than 3 weeks. I found myself withdrawing more than I planned, convincing myself that I'd figure it out later. And yet, I couldn't stop, because every time I thought about walking away, the guilt crept in. What if Maria's mother really needed the hospital money? What if Grace's brother dropped out of school? What if Joy actually got kicked out of her apartment? I told myself I wasn't just spending, I was helping. I was making a difference. I was loved. But deep down, a whisper in my gut told me the truth. I was being used. I just wasn't ready to face it yet. By the end of my 5th week in the Philippines, I wasn't the same man who landed bright-eyed in Manila. I was exhausted, mentally and financially. My bank balance looked like it had been through a war, but still, I pushed forward. Because at this point, it wasn't just about fun anymore, and it was about pride. Pride that I wasn't being used, pride that these girls really did care for me, and pride that I could keep living like a king in a country where poverty stared you in the face every single day. Then it happened. The moment that shattered the illusion. It started with Maria. I was in her apartment in Quezon City one night, scrolling on her phone while she took a shower. She had left it unlocked on the bed, and curiosity got the better of me. There it was. Messages. Dozens of them. From different men. Some calling her baby, others asking when she'd come to visit. One even sending a Western Union tracking number. My heart sank. I scrolled further, hoping there was some explanation, but it only got worse. Photos, flirty voice notes, promises of love, and all of them overlapped perfectly with the times she had been with me. My hands shook as I put the phone back. When she came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her body, smiling at me like I was the only man in the world. I couldn't even look at her. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Something in me wanted more proof, and proof came sooner than expected. A few days later, in Cebu, I was out with Grace when I ran into a group of foreigners at a bar. One of them, a big Australian guy, asked me how long I'd been in town. When I told him about Grace, his face twisted into a smirk. Mate, she's been seeing me too. And my buddy here. He pointed to another guy in the group who nodded. My stomach dropped. Grace, the sweet cafe girl who swore she wasn't like the others, was running the exact same script on multiple men at the same time. The final blow came in Angeles. Joy wasn't shy about her lifestyle, but even I wasn't prepared for what I stumbled upon. I had left my hotel early to surprise her, thinking maybe, just maybe, she was different. Instead, I caught her climbing onto the back of another foreigner's motorbike, laughing, her arms wrapped tightly around him. That was it. The breaking point. All the stories, all the emergencies, all the "baby, I love you" whispers, they came crashing down like a deck of cards. I wasn't special. I wasn't loved. I wasn't even respected. I was just another walking ATM, one of many, lined up to fund a lifestyle that had nothing to do with me. And in that moment, standing under the neon glow of Angeles City, Watching her disappear into the night with someone else, I finally admitted to myself what I had refused to believe all along. I had been played. Hard. I didn't sleep that night in Angeles. I sat in my hotel room with the lights off, staring at the ceiling, playing every single moment back in my head. The smiles, the kisses, the endless, I love you baby texts. It all felt like a movie reel suddenly stripped of sound. Fake, rehearsed, empty. I had spent 2 months in the Philippines burning through cash like water. Rent money for women I barely knew. Medicine for their sick relatives. School fees for kids that weren't mine. Dinners, drinks, hotels, trips. Every single peso I handed out I thought was buying me love. But the truth hit me like a truck. I hadn't been buying love. I'd been renting an illusion. The next morning, I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I felt old. Not because of my age, but because of how stupid I had been, how blinded I was. I wanted to hate the girls. I wanted to call them scammers, liars, manipulators. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized something darker. I wasn't innocent either. I wasn't faithful to one either. They were three. I came here thinking it could be better, better than the way it is in the Western world. A girl who'd worship me just for being me. I was chasing a dream that didn't exist. And they knew it. They played their role because they had to survive. I played mine because I was desperate to feel special. Still, that didn't take away the sting. When I packed my bags to leave the Philippines, I carried two things with me: regret and clarity. Regret for the money wasted. Regret for the time spent on lies. Regret for putting my heart in a game where hearts are not needed. But also clarity. Clarity that if I was ever going to date abroad again, I needed to strip away the fantasies. Stop romanticizing poverty as innocence. Stop believing that youth equals purity. Stop thinking my wallet could buy me something real, because real love isn't bought. It isn't begged for. It isn't found in the back of bars or hidden behind emergency requests for sick relatives. It's built, slowly, brick by brick, with honesty. I wish I could tell you I found that love in the Philippines, but I didn't. Not then. What I found instead was a hard lesson. And maybe, just maybe, that lesson is worth more than all the pesos I lost, because it saved me from losing something much greater down the line: myself. And now I've realized the most important thing when it comes to love. If you buy love with money, the day that money finishes is the day that love ends.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more amazing content.